control in de aanslag, want het komende uur gaat het er extra ruig aan toe. In stereo, firma Onrust.
Muziek. In niets meer, maar zeker niets minder, handelt vanavond de firma Onrust. Zo zal de beste Nederlandse liveband van dit moment het podium onveilig maken. Die Urban Dance Squad.
2 maanden geleden riepen wij Nederlandse bands op hun beste nummer in te sturen. Doel, het maken van een videoclip. We kregen uiteindelijk 200 tapes en de winnaars met hun clips, die zie je straks.
Voor deze bus heeft trouwens vanavond het laatste uur geslagen. Maar misschien krijgen we de winnaar van de bij de tijdtest zo gek om hem mee te nemen. De 3 clipwinnaars zullen het namelijk moeten opnemen tegen 3 popjournalisten. Daar gaat dus nog heel wat bloed vloeien.
Maar eerst 3 liter zweet en nog veel meer gitaren in de komende 20 minuten. Hier is voor de liefhebbers Sonic Youth.
I would like to cut it down to just 1 guitar someday, because as the years go by, I'm getting really fed up with having to deal with all this guitar work.
When you started, you didn't really master the bass guitar, did you?
No, and I'll never master the bass guitar, nor attempt to master the bass guitar.
How did you get the job?
I was living in Kim and Thurston's apartment, and the only way they could get rid of me was if I would play the drums for their band.
Sort of like New York here, isn't it? Behind you.
Yeah, it's like parts of New York I've seen. It's this graffiti thing with the windows broken. It's kind of the atmosphere we often get placed in.
I think that people have positive and negative connotations about the words melody and dissonance.
I was talking to somebody the other night about the fact that when we were all first in New York, Thurston and I moved to New York around 78 or 79, and Kim a year or 2 after that. We were living downtown, and you were really surrounded by this whole, I mean, all of your friends were either painters or dancers or composers. They weren't just guitar players, they were composers, you know, like Glenn Branca and Rhys Chatham and all these other people. And you really saw people looking at like creative work in a totally different light. It wasn't like kids who just grew up listening to rock music and after they graduated high school or whatever started in a band and that was like sort of the course it took. All of a sudden you could see ways to take those forms and really work them in much more sort of conceived ways. You know, I mean, I think that's a lot of what was interesting about the new wave scene in New York. Both the new wave and then the no wave people that came right after, like DNA and Teenage Jesus, were totally deconstructing rock music. They were taking it and reducing it to the absolute, the lowest common denominators, just rhythm and pounding and sort of just like the emotional state of the lyrics. And it was really, really exciting at the time because these people were making music that was on one hand so conceptual and on the other hand still so visceral. I mean, it really grabbed you when you listened to it. And it was almost like a reawakening. I mean, you would go to see those people playing and listening and you could look at music in a whole different way again. It had, all of a sudden, the slate was wiped clean. It had nothing more to do with big stadiums and glamorous costumes and the whole entertainment side of it. All of a sudden, it was music and composition and, on some strange hand, art.
It seems to me you've sort of created your own musical universe with this band. Is that correct?
I doubt it. I think we just have borrowed from everyone else's universe and kind of have a make-believe one that we'll inhabit for a while until we're gone. I think the biggest thing about the group is how big of fans we are of all different other musics.
How you tune the guitars? How you tune your guitars?
We use chromatic tuners because we don't tune in standard tuning, which is what? E, A. You know better than I do. And
Like for a normal Beatles song, let's say.
for a normal Beatles song,
Yeah.
right? Well, I think actually the Beatles might have used some alternate tunings as well, but not very often.
So how do you tune your guitar?
Well, this guitar, for instance, is tuned. It's like G, A, B, D, E, G. That spells gapdag.
I mean, since Lee and Thurston don't play in regular tuning, I never really bothered to learn, like, notes on the bass, you know, like a scale or anything, because they don't talk in those terms.
You know, I mean, people have done it before, so we sort of learned from people who've done it. I mean, a lot of composers have done it, like, you know, Lamont Young Well, I mean, the Velvet Underground certainly did some stuff on their early records, and people from New York like Glenn Branca and Reese Chatham.
It's his starting point. It's like he starts with these tunings that he devises, and then he builds the music. And with us, we just started with guitars. And initially, the guitars we had when we were just like poor kids in New York were these really ratty old guitars. And they wouldn't hold normal tunings, for one thing. I mean, you could strum them 3 times and they'd be out of tune. But you'd find some guitars would have a certain characteristic. They would do one thing and do it really well. If you tuned it a certain way, or if you prepared it with something under the strings, or whatever it would take. And we would start writing a song around a sound a guitar would make that was pleasing. And so maybe one guitar would just be used for one song, and then somehow we'd find another guitar, and and it just kind of escalated from there.
But you can't play like, riffling. You can only play real hurricane leads, That's one of the main problems I find with a lot of the tunings is we really can't. I mean, Lee plays a lot more sort of lead melody lines and stuff. But it's not that rewarding sometimes trying to improvise leads, as far as like really happening lead guitar, and that's something we're trying to I think develop more, as we're figuring that out more.
Can't forget the flashing, can't forget the smashing. Sending in the building, the atmosphere entry. You got a hand in time, got another in your mind. You got your heart injected, you got your soul alive. You got it. You rise, silver rockets. I can't stop it. Burning holes in your pockets.
everyone wants to lose himself. That's why people come to hear music, you know. And it's no different for musicians, you know. So. I mean, that's why we hate doing interviews so much.
And with interviews, you're constantly reminded of what you're doing, or...
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's the sound of a voice or, you know, delivery or something like that that has as much meaning as the actual words. And the two of those play together or off of each other. I'm sure a lot of songwriters use
Can you tell me how Addicted to Love came about, that you did with Chicana Youth?
Yeah, it was pretty simple. Kim went to one of these karaoke booths, if you know what that is. No. It's a place where you go and they have all kinds of music, versions of popular songs that some band has played without the words. And then you pick the song you want and they hand you the lyric sheet and you go into this room and you put some headphones on and they pipe in the music and you sing. And it's like, I guess it's very popular in Japan, although we never got to do it while we were there, but all of a sudden, for that minute, you're the star. You know, you're there and you're singing Born in the USA or whatever it is, or Addicted to Love. And so that's how the music was done, basically. None of us really play on that track. It's all these musicians that we don't know, and probably if they ever find out, they're going to come and sue us or something like that. But that's how the music came about, and Kim went in and picked that song and sang it. And then we made a video in the same way. There's a big department store in New York called Macy's, and they have the same kind of thing with video, where they'll put a song on, and you dance around, and they project images of your choice behind you, and when the song is over, they hand you the cassette and say, okay, you take it home and send it to all your friends, and now you're a video star, too. And so Kim took her tape there and made the video. It cost less than $20. It was done in one take. And it was edited after, as soon as the song was over, the tape was edited completely and just handed to her.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
The lights are on, but you're not home. Your mind is not your own. Your heart sweats, your body shakes. Another kiss is what it takes. You can't sleep. You can't eat, there's no doubt, you're in deep, your throat is tight, you can't breathe, another kiss is all you need. You'd like to think that you're immune to the stuff, oh yeah, it's closer to the truth to say you can't get enough. You're gonna have to face it when you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love.
I'm a real big fan of the song as an entity of its own. Some songs can become bigger than life in ways.
We always thought we were writing songs, even in the very beginning. You know, to us, they, you know, it wasn't noise. It wasn't, we didn't even think of it as dissonance. We just thought of it as different kinds of melodies. You know, we were really naive, I guess.
Yeah, we know how to play stock kind of rock guitar, but you know, we just haven't done too much of that in the band. Maybe in the future we'll use more of it, and that could be more of a challenge to us than continuing this way.
We're grown people now. Punk rock is a limited thing. We're not so limited.